A warm welcome back to the channel and a move away from your more traditional aviation news recap. Today I'm taking a look at the Boeing 737 MAX. Let's begin with the certification of the Boeing 737 MAX 7 and 737 MAX 10 in what is being described as another blow for these remaining variants, thanks to reporting from the reputable Air Current. So the aircraft manufacturer is actually making progress in addressing the 737 MAX engine anti-ice system issues. These issues are among some of the key reasons why we have seen certification delayed in the remaining variants. Such issues, though, regarding the anti-ice relate specifically to overheating and the potential ramifications that could lead to an engine failure, obviously a cause for concern and something that must be addressed. This, though, proving to be nowhere near an overnight fix. It is taking time, and thanks to these issues, alongside many other associated delays to the certification, we're seeing a knock-on effect across the business. Unfortunately for Boeing, certification delays are hardly the first thing that's impacting its day-to-day ability to operate. The company is battling ongoing investigations, production restrictions, and many other obstacles preventing it from operating normally. Because of the time needed to resolve the engine difficulties on the models, the Air Current says that the MAX 7 and MAX 10 certification will stretch now into deep 2025 at the earliest. Ultimately, based on the established timelines and also persistent difficulties that have been missed on a pretty consistent basis, it wouldn't be far-fetched to make the assumption that this could be delayed further into, say, 2026. Worse still for customers, this would mean that the variants would enter commercial service only in the mid to late 2026. Potentially for others, we'd see a knock-on effect, with deliveries occurring even later than that. On many other occasions, we have seen Boeing announce estimations regarding these variants entering into service. However, with each time they put forward a prospective date and missed that, it became more and more likely that timelines would not be able to be met and would rather get a when it happens, it happens. It's why we've seen the Federal Aviation Administration be very clear and not put forward any estimates, very clearly saying that the variants will be certified when they're deemed safe. The significant delays certainly have an impact on the manufacturer as stated, but this trickles down to, as briefly touched on, airlines. The two remaining variants are going to be hugely important for some airlines' future ops, fleet retirements, and just generally their route network. However, because of these delays, airlines cannot acquire these jets when they need them, and they're being forced to massively adjust their expectations, and in some instances take very different pathways to what they would have imagined to mitigate the losses felt. United Airlines, for example, has entered into a leasing agreement to secure additional A321neos, basically they being as cover. Meanwhile, it's also switched out MAX orders for the 10 to your certified variants, ones that can assure are actually going to be delivered. Other airlines are expecting fewer deliveries and slowing down growth expectations, which is far from ideal. Over at Southwest, well, they've already been very clear at the beginning of this year, saying they don't expect the MAX 7 to be delivered this year. Remember, Southwest only operates the 737 family, therefore their reliance on the MAX to replace your older jets is pretty high. Onlookers have even gone as far as stating that the continuously mounting delays for these uncertified MAX variants mean they increasingly feel more and more like planes that are not real. Years ago, there were concerns about the fate of these variants and whether they would be scrapped. However, progress we know has continued with certification and approval in the works. It just seems like it is going to be quite some time away. On to the next part of focus regarding Boeing, and this is in relation once more to the 737 MAX and those production increases that I have talked about in the last few months. Following what can only be described as a critical meeting between the FAA and the manufacturer, Boeing's bid to increase its production on the MAX will not be possible for the short term. You may recall that after we saw the door blowout incident and all the other related safety issues come to light, Boeing was imposed with a 90-day period where they needed to submit a turnaround plan. This turnaround plan would look to address some of the key concerns outlined in investigations, and as part of that, a lot of the focus was placed on culture, safety, and what has been taking place on the production floor to move forward with, as the name suggests, a turnaround plan that would rectify all of this. As a result of those investigations, the FAA barred Boeing from increasing production on its MAX. The regulator firmly believed that any potential increase would damage the manufacturer's ability to do better. And Boeing was in agreement, actually. While these restrictions certainly dealt a blow to the manufacturer, and especially its customers, Boeing has struggled to also reach the maximum output it has been allowed in recent months. Struggles certainly come when taking a look at the floor, which has seen an increased oversight from regulators trying to get to the bottom of why so many quality issues slip through. This enhanced oversight is now expected to continue for the coming months, with persistent exchanges set to take place between the pair. The continued oversight means Boeing will not be able to increase production rates on its 737 MAX jets yet. Mike Whitaker, the administrator of the FAA, has said that discussions around a production increase have not actually happened yet. Comments such as these are pretty important. They paint a picture that indicates the pair are nowhere near the turnaround stage where an increase can once more happen. And ultimately, Boeing's inability to raise production on the MAX, arguably its most important aircraft family, is impacting its finances and other business areas. But the production does also hurt airlines. Key customers have been forced to make significant adjustments to their forecasts for the next few years regarding deliveries of MAX jets, and as I touched on in the first segment of this video, it also goes hand in hand with uncertified variants. These airlines are aware of the ongoing delays and sometimes are forced to adjust their operating schedules. These schedule adjustments are seen as a last resort and are put in place to ensure stability can be felt across the broader network. Furthermore, these airlines are also struggling to meet demand. Customers have struggled to keep up with demand levels in more cases than one. They don't have the available capacity necessary. While the MAX delays are obviously a catalyst, it's not the only aircraft that has delays associated, with many others internally at Boeing and even over at competitor Airbus feeling similar. Ultimately, then, you have airlines like Lufthansa facing broader effects and very negative implications on their finances. Boeing, at the very least, has stated that it's in consistent communication with its airline customers to find solutions to mitigate some of the losses being experienced. But, as I always say, the one primary solution that these airlines would probably like is their aircraft on time, while there are other remedies that can be put into action, and you'll have airlines like United very grateful that they do have opportunities elsewhere. Not all companies are as fortunate, and others are going to have to weather the storm for some time. That's going to conclude today's update on Boeing. Not necessarily the greatest news regarding the MAX, but I'd be interested to hear your take down below in the comments. Obviously, an area in our industry that will definitely bring out some opinions, so feel free to drop them down below in the comments. As always, be respectful. Thank you very much. I'll see you same place, same time tomorrow for one of your more standard aviation news updates.
And we'll fly.